finally we're back here in the Layton Trophy Cabin Trophy Lodge, and we're gonna head out for another hunt trying to add trophies to this lodge. And I was trying to figure out why it's actually been so long since we've done an episode of hunting for this, and then I remembered this guy. A diamond whitetail that we shot on Layton Lakes that we tracked for 10 kilometers, and that was why we took a bit of a break. So we're not going back to Layton, that is still scarring. We're gonna go to Hirschfelden and see if we can get any of the missing trophies for the lodge. Among the many species that we don't have the wall in the Layton Trophy Cabin, by the way, are red fox, and we've got a max estimate track up here in Ritterstein. I was actually going to look for fallow deer. We don't have fallow or roe on the wall, and I really don't even know where most fallow deer are on Hirschfelden anymore. I'm guessing maybe like up here in the northeast, and that's what we were going to look for until this track showed up. So it was a fresh age on the disturbed bed. She shouldn't be terribly far away, and hopefully we can locate him sooner rather than later. We also have a number of geese here, including a pretty solid brown hybrid. Half of these things are brown hybrids. Let's just pop that with the 22. Might as well have it to go and grab, and we'll get back on the track of the red fox. He's gotta be right there. He is a level 9, and he's just about a guarantee. 14 to 16 might be the best estimate I've ever seen on a red fox, and the best part is, he's an orange fur type, which we've never killed a diamond of. So we have the 22-250 today for our kind of small game weapon. When it comes to red fox, probably about as good as it gets for them. It's super accurate. It's, compared to the 243 and 223, a little better for long range shooting. And if we can get a decent shot lined up with this guy, this could be huge for our lodge. We're nowhere near 10 kilometers yet, but this is giving me whitetail track vibes already. Look at the distance between these two tracks that we had, and it was just following a bunch of, it's gonna sound insane, wild boar tracks that seem to be just following the typical path that animals go in that area, and that led us to the next fox track. But this has become kind of a theme already. Just not able to find tracks. He was traveling with that female, so maybe those could help us? I never like to add to the suspense of the video when tracking something like this, at least too much, but I just want to make clear what has gone on so far. We found this track up here, followed it all the way south. He's very clearly started warping around, and we're up to very fresh tracks, almost back where we initially got the trail. So I'm really hoping he's not much farther away. We're probably gonna have to sort of continue to run after him and try to keep him in sight so that he doesn't warp again. And I guess try to get him to eventually go nervous in sight so we can get a shot. Better yet, we can find him out there calm. He's 170 meters out. He warning called here a couple of times and was just enough to kind of slow us down. And apparently we didn't spook him going through here. Before he gets kind of over that little hill, I'm gonna go ahead and alert him. And I think our heart rate's good. If he just stands still, we can do that with the 22-250. That was an insane track. Not as bad as the whitetail, to be fair, but the warping around like that, it was really worrying me that we'd never find him. And, you know, different things can cause animals to warp in Call of the Wild. The main one is a time change. We didn't have a time change here. I really have no idea why he did that. And a lot of times, when you get those tracks that are just all in a very straight line for hundreds if not thousands of meters, it can end up in an animal that you just simply cannot find. So the mere fact that we even got him here is insane, but he should be basically a guarantee. Fingers crossed for this guy. 14.52. Orange diamond red fox. Let's tax that right away. I actually thought he may end up scoring higher than that. Diamond is 14.05, so with 14 as the minimum, he was, like I said, basically a guarantee. Doubling him there at 157 with the 22-250. 7.2 kilometers tracking this guy. Very much worth it for our first ever orange fur type diamond red fox. And what I had planned on kind of saying, hopefully after we would get him, I don't know, 35 minutes ago when we first spotted him, was something like a great way to start off our hunt. But we're more than an hour now into recording this video. The first 20 minutes were spent looking for fallow deer, and then our internet went out for like another half hour. And that's why we even ended up on this server to begin with. So, very lucky that we got here, and very lucky that we got that guy. And that's is one of those animals, sort of like the European rabbit was last time we came here to Hirschfelden for this series. One that could have taken us forever looking for if it came down to like the last 1 or 2 animals we didn't have. Now it's checked off the list. Also, remember that brown hybrid goose we shot to start the video? That ended up being, from where we actually killed the red fox, about 300 meters where the goose dropped, and it flew some distance. After we shot it, it was kind of luck. I kind of remembered what direction it flew in so we could run this way to find it. But he was a good estimate. 7.76. Not terrible. I don't think one that is worthy being placed in the trophy lodge. Because frankly, if we did hunt for geese specifically, you know, set up decoys and everything, I bet we could get a diamond or at least a rare relatively quickly, and maybe that'll be something for down the road. But I nearly forgot that goose existed. It was just seeing the hunting pressure that reminded me we had even shot it. So after spending the entirety of fallow deer drink time chasing that red fox, we're now after roe deer, and our first one here is actually pretty solid, up to 79 score, and I imagine he's in that 70s area. So we're just gonna fire a 22 shot into the air, try to get lined up with the 22-250, and I actually don't know frontal on a roe deer how that's gonna do. Certainly looks to have gotten a vital, so not bad. Definitely better than what we've seen it do on hog deer, which are the same class, just way tougher. But I think this ought to be kind of interesting, jumping around and looking for roe deer in some of their hot spots. Much like fallow deer, I'm not super familiar with where most of them are on Hirschfelden now. This guy was a 77 though. 81.8 is diamond, that's really solid. If he was like wider set, he might have had a shot at being a level 2 diamond. Either way, single long shot, really no problem there from the 22-250. It's into the lung enough. Not something I think we'd try on a 3. But other level 2s, if we get that same angle, we'd probably do it again. And it looks like already, roe deer are starting to leave their zones. It is around 1700, and I guess part of the problem of not knowing necessarily the best spots to hunt roe deer in on Hirschfelden kind of leads to covering a lot of ground, checking spots that end up not having anything in it. But managed to catch that guy, I think, probably leaving a zone along this river here, and we finally made it up to the area that I was wanting to hunt for fallow deer at the very beginning of the video. So we'll see maybe if we can catch them in feed or rest zones, at least find out if they're in these areas. And in the meantime, got ourselves another bonus roe deer kill, which ended up somehow wedged between those trees there. If it was a little bit more out, like in the open, can make for a interesting screenshot, but even that's not terrible. And interestingly enough, nothing's like clipping, that's kind of just actually how that happened. Either way, 56 scoring silver, left long shot with the 22-250 again, getting way more use out of that gun already today than I figured we would for the entirety of the hunt. And did this once, maybe it'll work again. We've got a max estimate wild boar track, and I'm guessing it's probably with this group, so we should be heading this way. This is, or at least used to be, one of the very best spots on Hirschfelden for wild boar in general, so not too surprised to see a big track. Hopefully we'll see a high level as well. That's going to be him right there, unfortunately. So a level 4, an opportunity to use our 30-06, maybe. They were all resting there. We had to wake them up to get a look at everything. He walked right back over there and laid down. So I just went ahead and spooked them since I couldn't get a shot in there. And sadly, we're probably doomed to end up messing that up. Worth a try to see if we could get him, but I don't think we're going to spend too much time trying to sneak in at a, honestly, kind of small max estimate level 4 wild boar. He was only up to 128, I think it said. But quite frankly, the odds of picking up 2 different max estimate tracks in the same hunt and both leading to diamonds would have been pretty low. And between the two, I'm definitely glad it was Red Fox that got us a diamond. This guy was a 123. We were kind of close to hitting where we wanted him to be, a touch further forward, and at that angle, it's just so tough to get. 191 kilo though, not a bad size boar, and we'll continue to run around up here and see what else we encounter. Well, I guess on the plus side, we have at least found a fallow deer, so maybe that's a little bit of evidence that up in this area would be decent for them. Only like 100 plus shy of diamond, but at least we've got a fallow buck. I just don't know where the kind of best spots are. I know for sure that this river down here used to be loaded with them. I don't think it's as loaded anymore, but maybe next time that's a place to focus on. But I would not have predicted 2 hours into this that our first fallow deer would just be coming now 118 silver level 2. But at least we got to use the 30-06 again, and we're getting a little bit of something out of the kind of Mullerwold and Ritterstein areas. That's looking a little bit better. Got a, I think, dark fur type. The only reason I'm fairly confident of that is this may be one that we had a track of for quite some time. Might have been a bit back on that shot. Second shot hit a tree, so I don't know if it's going to end up being a vital hit. But just trying to learn where some of these fallow are. Now, if it is this one, we picked up his track way out here in the straw fields, and then tracked him almost up to the northeast corner of the map. But it seems there's quite a number of animals up here, red deer and fallow deer both. And maybe this can kind of help us out in the future. We do have a diamond red deer for the series, but a rare or diamond fallow for the wall is a very different story. Now, we did actually hit the lungs. That's so crazy to me. As powerful as the 30-06 is, and as much fallow grinding as we've done, with the 308 primarily, I would have thought that would have dropped it. It was a high bleed rate, single lung at 103 meters, 199 score, and that was it, with a 1.60 kilometer tracking distance. So, getting a little somewhere, maybe getting some information for future hunts, and we're getting pretty close now to dark. It's after 1800. Red Fox would be drinking, but we're already good on that front. So I'm actually not even sure what we should focus on other than just trying to see if there's more fallow up here. But I think maybe to wrap the hunt up, we've got one final roadie here. It is just going to be a little silver, but I think it's been good to hunt so much in this area. A spot that we rarely spend any time in, and just going to see how many deer are up here. Red deer, fallow deer, roe deer. It's definitely a spot we need to be in more. And maybe down the road, it can be the spot that we can add to our trophy lodge. But today, obviously, the Red Fox is the star of the show, and I can't wait to go back there and place that guy. Just the way this hunt played out, to get that Red Fox so early on and then spend so much time going after it, definitely one of the coolest trophies that we'll have in our Layton Trophy Cabin. But let's go back and take a look at what he looks like in there. That is just so cool. I would never have guessed that we'd have a Red Fox in this trophy lodge before, for instance, a fallow deer, a black-tailed deer, things like that. But it worked out today on Hirschfelden multiplayer, 7-kilometer tracking distance to get him down. But it adds one more trophy to our cabin. I think we're getting close maybe to halfway, probably just a little bit less than half. But I like what we got going on here, and hopefully we can come back in a little bit less than a month and a half or whatever it's been since we shot that diamond whitetail with a 10-kilometer track. This one wasn't near as bad, it wasn't going in circles, it was just kind of warped in a straight line. So it's not quite leaving the scar that the whitetail did. And maybe next time, now that we've gotten past it, we can go back to Layton once again. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.